Hey family, thanks for checking us out today as we tell stories from American history and more. And today I'm hanging out with my guy, Chills. I appreciate you coming through, bruh.
Yeah, bro. When I heard about this story, I had to hop on and talk about it with you.
For sure. Why don't you tell them what we're doing today, or should I say, who we're talking about today?
Today we're looking at the life of Trayvon Martin and how his story impacted so many of us around the world regarding injustices that take place.
Now, if you're asking who Trayvon Martin is, I've got you covered. Trayvon Benjamin Martin was born February 5th, 1995. He was an African-American high school student who lived in Florida.
And that is where a trip to his father's house ended in tragedy.
Right. That is where on February 26, 2012, George Zimmerman, a neighborhood watch captain in Sanford, Florida, called authorities to report a suspicious person in the neighborhood.
Yeah, that suspicious person ended up being Trayvon Martin. George Zimmerman profiled against Trayvon Martin just because he saw an African-American boy with a hoodie going through his neighborhood, and that's where he stopped him, even though Trayvon was just there to get a drink and a snack from the store.
And what is even crazier is even though emergency personnel told George Zimmerman to stay away, he didn't, and moments later, neighbors reported gunfire, which led to the discovery of George Zimmerman shooting and killing Trayvon Martin.
The next day on February 27th, after discovering Trayvon Martin did not return home, his father filed a missing persons report. This led to his family finding out he had been killed by George Zimmerman the day before.
What made things even worse was how long they took to charge George Zimmerman. For example, local authorities said they could not hold Zimmerman because they had no evidence that didn't match Zimmerman's version of the original event. And because of state law permitting the use of deadly weapons, also known as the stand your ground laws for self-defense, the police released him.
Which made no sense, especially after the release of the emergency recordings on March 16, 2012. In one of the recordings, you could hear a voice screaming, "Help, help," in the background, followed by the sound of a gunshot. Citizens across the country were outraged after hearing this, and it even got to the point where the President of the United States, Barack Obama, spoke out on March 23, 2012, saying, "If I had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin."
When this all happened, Trayvon's story sparked a national debate about race and the injustices that were taking place in the United States against African Americans. Finally, it led to a glimmer of hope where on April 11, 2012, Zimmerman was charged with second-degree murder.
George Zimmerman would go on to plead not guilty, stating he was protecting himself after Trayvon Martin had attacked him. This led to Zimmerman being put on trial in June of 2013. That is where the issue of self-defense was linked to Florida's law permitting the use of deadly weapons to defend yourself in a perceived threat, also known as the stand your ground law, which was central to the whole debate about was Zimmerman right to protect himself.
As the nation watched on hoping for justice for Trayvon, many would walk away disappointed. That is where on July 13th, after deliberating for 16 hours, over 2 days, a jury of 6 women found Zimmerman not guilty.
With many discouraged, the death of Trayvon Martin would not be in vain, though. His story empowered others to make a difference with nationwide protests like the Million Hoodie March, the formation of the Black Lives Matter Network, and more. It also led to the establishment of the Trayvon Martin Foundation, which is dedicated to helping parents and families that have lost children to gun violence. They speak out frequently against stand your ground laws.
Yes, the story of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin, who was followed, shot, and killed by neighborhood watchman George Zimmerman on February 26, 2012, will forever be remembered as a moment in history that broke the hearts of many, but also helped to inspire many to stand up against injustice in our world.